All right, folks, we are back. JV Wins, Dogon SS. We are here for another edition of Conscious Approach. Thank you to everybody who is tuning in, checking us out. Much appreciation to everybody who's been hitting the like button on those videos, subscribing to the channel, leaving those comments. We certainly appreciate it. As an individual who does not subscribe to nearly 10% of the content that he consumes, I understand full well the value of your digital currency. It is indicative of your belief that you receive value in the content that is presented in this channel, which is the highest form of flattery. So to everybody who will subscribe to the channel and to everybody who will subscribe in the future, because you know you want to, we thank you very much for that. Also want to say, check us out, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Trying to be available in all relevant locations. So if you are podcast type and you like to download audio versions of content to listen to while you're on your workout grind, driving in the car, or otherwise not necessarily in position to watch a YouTube video, you can now download the podcast in those particular areas as well. Before we want to get started, real quick, I also want to give a big shout out to Anthony Joshua. We didn't really talk about this at any point on the channel in the preceding weeks, but Anthony Joshua, in some respects, restored balance to the force over the weekend.
Right.
So, I don't know if I had shared this with you, but I definitely was talking to my dad about this and some other people. And I was saying, if that fight were to go any way other than the way that it went, I would at that point be compelled to be of the belief that there is some rigging going on, because there's no logical reason why that fight shouldn't have resulted in the exact way that it resulted. So a major shouts out to Anthony Joshua for that. I still think that he's a bit lower on the boxing totem pole than he should be. I think he's lost a lot of fights that he shouldn't have lost. Be that as it may, major shouts out to Anthony Joshua for restoring balance to the force and kicking the hell out of Jake Paul's face in the process. So,
while laughing.
Yes. Thank you, Anthony Joshua, for that. Now, with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get right off into it. We're going to get right into this week's topics, and we're going to start with a newcomer to the channel, Ghostface Killah. Ghostface, old school hip hop person. You probably don't even really know who Ghostface is. I would say if you're under the age of 30, hell, you might not even know who Ghostface is if you're under the age of 35. I'm not exactly sure what the cutoff is, but I'm pretty sure there's a cutoff because Ghostface goes way back. And Ghostface is in promotion mode for his new project that he's putting out. And he was recently on Rory and Mal's show, and they somehow got onto the topic of pause. For anyone who doesn't know what pause is, in hip hop culture, you sort of throw the word pause into any statement or conversation whenever there is any sort of comment or something that's said that could be even remotely interpreted as sexual in nature. And so in order to let everybody know that you don't mean anything sexual by it, you just throw the word pause in there for dramatic effect. It's been around for a long time, definitely I would say since the mid to late 90s. And Ghostface is somebody who wants pause to go away because he thinks it's jumped the shark a little bit in terms of its use. And it's gotten to the point where you can't even really talk anymore because every other word you're having to use the word pause. So this says Ghostface Killah explains why he hates pause. I can't even speak no more. Ghostface Killah is making it clear he's never been a fan of the word pause, a slang term commonly used to flag statements that sound unintentionally sexual. And he put that frustration front and center on his new album. During a recent appearance on the Rory and Mal podcast, the Wu-Tang legend explained why the phrase has always rubbed him the wrong way while breaking down tracks from Supreme Clientele 2. The topic came up organically after Ghost made a comment about where songs would fit after pulling them out, prompting Mal to joke that he would normally say pause, but hesitated out of respect. That moment opened the door for Ghostface to unpack his long-standing issue with the term, which he openly mocks on the album's Pause skit. On the podcast, Rory said the phrase didn't originate with newer generations or internet culture, but traces back to Rockefeller Records. While many fans associate Pauls with Cameron and the Diplomats, who popularized it widely, Rory credited Kareem Biggs, Burke, and Rockefeller members, including Jay Z and Dame Dash, as some of the earliest voices he remembers using it. I know it had to be somebody from Rockefeller, said Ghost while explaining he first heard it used by Dame Dash and others connected to the label. Ghostface then said once Cameron blew it out the frame, the phrase became unavoidable and limiting. I'm like, damn, I can't even speak no more. All my stuff is pause all day, but it's pause to y'all, not to me. We can't talk no more. The rapper went on to explain that in his era, language wasn't filtered through constant sexual subtext. Using examples from street slang and prison culture, Ghost argued that phrases people now flag as pause were never intended that way. Our minds ain't thinking on no homo stuff, he said. What's on your mind that making you what's on your mind that's making you think like that? Like what put you in a sexual stuff every time you got to talk now? That's not my era. These are the new N words. Yo, everything is a effing pause. It's like yo, I got paused out the game. That tension is exactly what Ghost leans into on the pause skit, using humor and exaggeration to call out how far the phrase has gone. Rather than rejecting slang altogether, Ghostface frames the skit as a reminder of a time when words didn't need constant disclaimers. And you can also click to watch that interview in the embed of this article, which will of course be included in the link of the description of this video. But yeah, Ghostface is not here for pause. Feels like it's played out. It's time for it to go, and it's just jumping the shark with way too many disclaimers for words and phraseology that otherwise doesn't require it unless your mind is in the gutter. So, what do you think about Ghostface's issues with the pause expression?
Yeah, man. I co-sign him. I don't like the term myself. Um, it's it's a term that I call like an invasive meme. It's a meme of a word, but it's an invasive one into your psyche. I'm sure you've seen content or have heard of invasive species. If you haven't seen anything about invasive species, very interesting stuff, bro. But invasive species, they're just animals that are just not from that ecosystem. They just get dropped into a random ecosystem, and then because they're no predators, natural predators to them, they just wreak havoc and destroy the environment in that
Mhm.
area. And pause is an invasive meme. I don't like the word because what it requires you to do is the stuff that Ghostface was saying. Because let's say that somebody was saying something and they just made a blanket statement, and I'm like, okay, blanket statement, very good. And then they say pause after that. Then I, the listener, have to now go into the gutter, into that the dark recesses of their brain, and then pull out the homoerotic innuendo. I'm not in the business of doing that. So I think that it's an invasive meme. It's invasive in the sense that it invades your mind and your psyche, and you have to get into the gutter, even if you don't want to be there. So yeah, I don't like it. I never did like it. I first heard about it in high school, so that was early 2000s. I only knew it from Cameron. Um, and then of course, you know what I'm saying, our Hispanic brothers at school, they were using it the most. Um, and they just kept saying it. Oh, Paul, I'm like, yeah. And even then, man, I was like, I don't think that's funny. It's real. It has real grab ass energy. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
It's like, hey man, in the towel in the in the locker room, just trying to change your clothes, and guys are snapping towels at your ass or
yeah.
literally grabbing you or trying to pants you. It's like, why is that? your form of humor, bruh. Wrestling with other dudes in the locker room, like that's some strange energy, and that's what that pause thing gives me, honestly. So so for people out there that are habitual users and you're not using it ironically, yeah, man, I question that. So Dame can act like he's the straightest man on the planet, but honestly, bruh, he uses pause more than anybody.
To this day, he still talks like that.
I mean, it's literally a couple times a sentence if you let him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not a fan of it. Not a fan of invasive memes as well. So that word can kick rocks. But honestly, I think it's, and unfortunately, I think it's became a part of the how do you say, social pop lexicon, which I hope it goes away. But what are your thoughts, man, on Ghostface saying, "Hey, man, he's not here for all of that pause stuff"? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I'm with Mr. Ghostface. First time I remember hearing pause was actually on Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt, which was in 1996. So he is tracking correctly with his chronology when he says it kind of started in the mid to late 90s with some of those guys, and then it kind of got more and more proliferated with Dipset. The first time I heard it was Jay-Z Reasonable Doubt, which came out in 1996. I was 10 years old. So it's been around for a while. And yeah, Dame Dash, who's what, 54, 55 years old, still to this day, when he was most recently on the Breakfast Club, he said it like 4 or 5 times throughout that entire interview. And I remember thinking to myself, why are you still talking like that, bro? But yeah, I agree with you, and I agree with Ghostface. I think it's weird energy. It institutes an element into a conversation that otherwise didn't need to be there if that isn't where your mind was tracking. And honestly, it kind of, when I first started to learn how prevalent it is that guys say that, it really started to make me wonder about the social environment within the genre of the music. Like, what is persisting throughout that environment that there is such an ardent need for you to constantly dispel any notion that the words that you're using in regular everyday speech may entail some sort of homoerotic undertone. like honestly, when we were growing up, we were very much sold on the, now it's a little different now, but when we were coming up, it was the height of hip hop machismo. So we were being sold on the idea that being a part of hip hop culture as a man specifically was tapping into your inner machismo, to which there was no necessary homoeroticism to be found.
Correct.
Yet, despite all of that, we're constantly needing to clarify that there is no homoerotic undertone in a basic form of everyday speech when we're conversing with each other, which led me to believe that there must be something going on within the ecosystem of that particular world, which persists, that in which there needs to be a delineation that is clearly defined. Does that make sense? Like within the ecosystem of that world, what is taking place on a regular everyday basis that requires someone to clarify more often than not when they say something that's otherwise very basic? You didn't mean nothing gay by it, so let me say Paul. And so it started to break down the illusion of machismo within hip hop. To me, is what it started to do. Like, y'all aren't as tough as you claim to be, you aren't as macho as you claim to be, and you are not as heterosexual as you claim to be. Now, a lot of things these days are coming to light, which is illuminating us on what was going on throughout these periods of time, most notably individuals like Diddy Puff, the Diddler. So we're seeing now, through evidence, empirical data, if you will, that there was a lot of shenanigery going on that can highlight why somebody who is involved in that world would feel the need, compelled even, to make it very clear, I don't mean nothing homo by saying what I'm saying. And in order for me to make you know I don't mean nothing homo by saying what I'm saying. Let me go on and throw this disclaimer of pause in there.
Mm-hmm.
So there are probably a lot of events that you were attending, a lot of I would imagine in this world of hip hop, which is supposed to be so tough and endearing, there were a lot of events going on. There were a lot of parties being held. There was a lot of grab ass type activity which was taking place
Yes.
that was persisting, replete throughout that world. And the individuals who were on the other side of that fence needed to make it clear that they don't get down like that. And pause is one of the mechanisms with which they can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of highlights, to me at least, the illusion that hip hop presented itself to us when we were growing up during our younger, more impressionable days. And I'm glad that we didn't get caught up in the sauce, because it is, nor was it ever, what it was chalked up to be for us during those times.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, bro. And to me, I just felt like it's a listen. I'm not calling you out per se if you do use it, the term in an unironic way, like you're actually using it, not to make fun or just to be, ironic about it. Like if you're doing it like that, whatever. But if you're an everyday user, um, a habitual user, um, yeah, man, I think that's just somebody letting people know what kind of lifestyle they're into, man. And that's okay, man. To each their own, bro. Like, there's nothing wrong with that if that's how you want to live your life. But me personally, I just think that it's an alternative lifestyle term. It's guys that are struggling with the fact that they actually do have intimate thoughts about the same gender, but they don't want to. It's their way of coming out.
It's the fake and the funk of it. It's the insistence on it not being who you are, not
Right.
that it is who you are. It's the insistence on you having to declare that that's not what you're on, even though otherwise there's no need to even apply the disclaimer in the first place.
Exactly. And so when Cameron and Mace, they got back on the air and they were and with their podcast or whatever, and it was the running joke on there, kind of like grew wings again. And so then it became a thing where people would make a video about whatever, and then now there's people in the comment section, hey yo, pause, man. Oh, hey yo. It's like, bro, like y'all, all y'all minds is in the gutter. So yeah, man, I don't think it's cool at all. And another one of those invasive memes, it's not to the level of pause. But the other one is 6'7", the 6'7" meme that's going around right
I
now.
have no idea what that is.
So
So yeah,
yeah. I mean,
I've
but
heard,
you've
I've
heard it.
heard, I've heard it. Yeah, but I have no idea what it
No,
is.
nobody knows, honestly. But basically, there was a song out there that was on TikTok that went viral, and one of the lyrics that the guy said was something about 6'7". Um, you know, I just bent right on the highway or something like that. And it's like a something drop in the song where he says 6'7". And so the kids kept saying 6'7", 6'7". So then because it wasn't adults that ran with this, it was kids. But then it just started to become a thing where whenever anybody says 6'7", people go, oh, 6'7", 6'7".
Mhm.
So now it's crossed over into sports. Well, sports is a math game. They're always talking about numbers. So people naturally say 6 or 7. So I'm trying to watch podcasts about random sports stuff, have nothing to do with hip hop or TikTok. And then somebody says, yeah, it's about 6 or 7 of them. And then the other guys, oh, 6, 7. You know what I'm saying? The most country club of white man on TV. Somebody say 6'7", he's up, whoop, 6'7". Yeah. And I'm like, hey man, this has to stop. When will it stop? Honestly, and that's the part about it that's invasive, because I don't want to trigger anybody saying that. I don't want to hear I don't want to hear people stop me while I finish saying something because I accidentally said 6'7". And so now I have to think to go, but it was about 6 or 7. So then I gotta go, yeah, it was about 7 or 8 of them just to avoid 6'7", because I'm not trying to be a 6'7" person. So that's an invasive meme too. I don't like that. Just be funny or whatever, man. But I don't like these things that make you think before you actually say something, or somebody say something. Now it triggers because somebody else can say 6'7". I'm like, oh shit, 6'7". I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't like meme. I don't like memes like that. Pause is in that same boat, and I feel, but unfortunately, due to social media, due to how these things travel, like viruses, you know, so long as it's somebody with it, they still have the potential to pass it on. So, yeah, man. Hopefully, nobody here in the conscious approach community are pause users. But if you are, please stop. I would ask and get some help. I'll say that.
Yeah, yeah, there's definitely a difference between using it comically,
Yeah, bro.
and being someone who like Dame Dash, who means it when
Right.
he says it.
And Mason them. Yeah.
Yeah, like they mean it when they say it.
Hmm.
And I'm more inclined to be, even though I am not someone who falls in with internet trends. I don't know too much about what the 6'7" thing is, but based upon what's been described to me, it just sounds like a silly thing that's blossomed into this
Yes.
ubiquitous term that people are just throwing in anywhere. But
Yes.
it otherwise doesn't reveal the
No.
underbelly of
No.
some sort of subversive form of identity
No.
that is juxtaposed to what those same individuals claim to be really living. And I
Correct.
do believe that Pauls represents that for hip hop people,
Yeah.
especially going all the way back to when we were coming up listening to it. We were really sold a bag of goods on this stuff in more ways than one. This is just one of the ways in which we were sold a particular bag of goods. And now, as an adult, I've realized that the need for you to be able to apply that stamp on everyday vernacular or speech, to me, is very revealing of a particular form of living or social construction, if you will, within the context of that culture or subculture, whatever you want to call it, which suggests that not saying that could put you on this interpretive plane of being a part of something that you're not actually on, which leads me to ask the question, okay, well, what is that thing that you're describing that you don't want to be a part of or don't want to be on, that you feel the need to say that? And let's have a conversation about that, because that is what I believe is replete throughout, that particular, ecosystem, whether it's the music, the industry stuff, or the entertainment industry aspect of it, or everything in between. And all of that stuff that you want to make sure that you declare to be diametrically opposed from, it's been going on for a long time, and it is completely counterintuitive to everything that was sold to us in terms of what that world is about, which is all the toughness and the macho and the heterosexuality.
Hmm.
So go figure. And I don't mind individuals like Ghostface, because he actually comes from the era in which it started. And but he's also more of a, you know, conscientious, brainy type rapper, if you
Hmm.
will.
Hmm.
And therefore, it doesn't surprise me that he talks like that, because he strikes me as someone who's cut from the cloth of not having himself in that particular gutter or that particular vibration, in which he can't even say, I'm going to pull this out of the closet, and have to say pause so that no one would dare think about saying, I'm pulling this thing out of the closet. He's actually meaning something else.
Right.
So there's just a lot of weird energy with this stuff, man. And it's really given me a different lens through which to look at this music that I didn't look at as a child, and that I would caution a lot of people who are still in the mode of being impressionable and influenced by the music. They need to take a step back and also take inventory of a lot of the stuff that they're listening to with this, because there's a lot of meaning behind a lot of the stuff that these guys are saying, even if you don't realize it, and even if they don't realize it.
Yeah, and last thing I'll say is that, you know, I think the people that don't use it, I think the people that don't use it, I think they don't use it for a reason. And I think the people that use it for a reason. And like I said, it's grab ass energy. And if you on that, then you say that with glee. And then, you know, you're hoping that the people that you're using this with also got grab ass energy, apparently. And that's why I think it's more of a dog whistle term than than anything else. So that's why I guess I don't hear it when they're saying it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not a part of that lifestyle where I'm struggling with that. So hey man, more power to you guys, man. Again, if you're using it ironically, because I've used it on this channel, but it was ironic.
Yeah.
You know, the way I was using it was completely for comedic purposes. It's not like, hey brother, hey, don't get it confused here. Listen, nah, man. So hey man, teach their own. Alternative lifestyles are a part of life nowadays, man. I'm not here to judge you, but me personally, I'm not gonna be using that word like that.
Yeah, it is weird. Grab ass energy is pretty accurate way to describe it. It's akin to, you know, being in a frat, and some of the weird ways that, you know, your fraternity brothers might show you love. You know?
Yeah. What that was? Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. I'm talking to all y'all Q dogs who be going to the dog show. Hey, shouts out to Ghostface, man. Newcomer to the channel. This was good stuff, man.
Yeah,
never really been a big fan of Ghostface music. I appreciate his talent though. Like he's good. I acknowledge him as like a legend in the game, so to speak. Sonically, he's not my cup of tea. But every once in a while, he'll actually say stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So shouts out to Ghostface for this
man. Shout out to Ghost, man. Shout out to Wu-Tang, man.
Yeah. All right, man. And now we move on to a friend of the channel. This is the second week in a row. Ryan Clark. You know, I don't know what Ryan Clark is trying to accomplish at this point, you know, with his career as a media person. I don't know what it is that he's trying to achieve here. But Ryan Clark went viral once again, this time for expressing his frustration with being musically profiled in Ubers. So, you know, according to Ryan Clark, he feels some type of way, and he feels as though he's being targeted racially because whenever he gets into an Uber drivers start playing rap music, and he doesn't like it because why is it that every time I get into the car, you got to start putting rap music on, you know, when you're taking me to my destination as my Uber driver? So this says Ryan Clark says Uber drivers are musically profiling him by playing rap songs. ESPN analyst Ryan Clark wants a word with Uber drivers. Stop playing rap music when he gets in the car. Clark took to his X page on December 19th to deliver the message, and he argues he has been musically profiled because Uber drivers turn on rap songs from the likes of 50 Cent and Tupac when he gets in their cars. He thinks it's stereotypical, and he wants it to stop. Oh, let's see. I'm gonna skip the quote because I'm just gonna play the video. He then mentioned Maroon 5 and Sam Hunt as other artists he could listen to and started sharing some of the lyrics. What about that? He says. So here's Mr. Ryan Clark here, talking about being musically profiled when he gets into Ubers.
I'm tired of being musically profiled in Ubers. It's a Sunday. Go to walk my son's dog. Get just some regular, like, you know, I think it was like pop or something was on. Man, as you know, says hello, doesn't even ask me. He just changes the radio. First song, All Eyes on Me by Tupac. That's not even one of the songs I listen to from that album. Then he plays Many Men, right? 50 Cent.
Okay.
And I'm starting to realize there's a theme. Then he hit me with the Stay Scheming. Bro, you got to go pull Stay Scheming way off the pack for Ross and Drake. And I had enough when it got to Not Like Us. Like, you totally profiled me and said, this is the music this guy's like. And now I'm watching his lips as he lip sync because it's not even the edited version. And listen, bro, Continuum, all-time album. Why can't I listen to John Mayer? Songs About Jane, classic. Maroon 5. Hell, Between the Pines, Sam Hunt. I know a little, now there ain't enough smoke in my eyes to hide the kind of games you trying to play. Like, what about that? Chris Young, You. That's like one of my favorite songs. The bluest skies don't seem so blue. Like, that is a classic. Beautiful Crazy. I mean, a day starts with a coffee and ends with I know country. So you mean to tell me you could have went, what was that? Nora Jones, Come Away With Me. Hell, the Hamilton soundtrack. Wicked. Listen to all that. You go straight, and it was a Sunday, bro. Couldn't put no Kurt Franklin on. Like that. I don't like a Kurt Franklin guy. Yolanda Adams, John Peakey. Like, none of those people ring a bell to you, and maybe I want to listen to them. So yeah, so Uber people, Uber drivers, just turn around. Hey man, do you like this music? What music would you want to listen to? But please, or if you go Tupac, like, give me Against the World for something subtle and sane and chill. Don't go All Eyes on Me. Or if you're gonna do that, give me Ambitious as a Rider. Like, let me really get hype on a Sunday.
God,
but that was ridiculous, Mr. Uber.
This guy, bro.
Like, what was that about?
I don't know. But he's really starting to get on my nerves. And I say that ironically because we use him as content on the channel, but this guy's starting to really get on my nerves. But what do you think about that? Do you think Ryan Clark, certified friend of Conscious Approach, has a point when he expresses being musically profiled when he gets into Ubers?
Listen, so your question is, does he have a point? Does that happen? Yes, he has a point that happens. I've had those experiences myself while in an Uber or whatever. But I get it. So I'm assuming the driver was of another ethnicity, right? So these are the songs and artists that he knows as far as rap. I mean, come on, Many Men, All Eyes on Me. Come on, man. Now, Stay Scheming, that is a bit of a pull. It doesn't really match up with the first few, but nevertheless, that's probably his playlist of hip hop songs that he likes, and he plays hip hop songs when black people are in the car. Like, it is what it is. Now, when I was a driver, because I was a driver, Uber and cab, Lyft, and all of that stuff. So I realized that I would also musically profile the people in the car. Why? Because it's generated towards my tip. It's generated towards my rating. So if I got people in a car and I'm listening to my playlist, okay, I could turn off people. So what you do is you find songs that are well known, and you find things that are, and then you would profile based on who you're picking up. So if I'm picking up black guys, guess what? I'm doing the same thing that guy did. Now, I'm not going to play those songs, but I'm going to play some rap songs. So if I picked up a black guy, younger black guy, and it depends on which side of the neighborhood I was on, I will play some trap stuff for this guy. And if this looked like a college student, I'll play some boom bap bar stuff. Like, I do that. That's what people do when they get in the car. Ryan Clark, it looks like you listen to Tupac, apparently, to this guy. So he played that to make you happy. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't know you listen to Maroon 5. He doesn't know what's going on with that. You know what I'm saying? So if he plays some Maroon 5 or some Coldplay or some whatever the hell, you know what I'm saying? That could have offended you, and he could have got a lower rating. Okay, so that guy's just doing his thing. Was it a bit obvious because he switched the tune as soon as you got in the car? Yeah, he should know better. He should be a little bit better with that. That way it looked like he was already playing that stuff before you got there. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to know how to play it. But that guy was just being a regular guy, and that's everybody's experience in an Uber. All right. So for the most part, do people get profiled? Yes, they do. But what are you expecting these everyday people that drive these cars to do? So they're just trying their best to get a tip, get a high rating. All right. He's not trying to offend you. Okay. He can't help it that you Negroes like hip hop. so he's gonna play what he knows of that genre. So so for him to get on the internet to low-key flex that he don't just listen to rap, I feel like you're taking a jab at me, bruh. You know, that he's more cultured than the regular Negro. You know, I can flip this on you too, Ryan Clark. So honestly, I don't care for this take. It was making me laugh because I don't know what to think of him. And you let this thing off saying, you know, I don't know what his angle is anymore. Like, I don't know what his point is. And honestly, bruh, I don't either. Besides trying to be the MLK of sports analysts, I don't know what his angle is. But what are your thoughts, bro, on Ryan Clark saying that he's tired of being musically profiled whenever he hops in Ubers, bro? What are your thoughts?
Well, he's tired of that, and I'm tired of him. A couple things. He knew all those songs.
He knew those songs.
So it isn't as though he's this person who doesn't listen to rap or hip hop at all, got into the Uber, heard the music, and was unfamiliar with what was being played, therefore offended because of over the notion that this Uber driver would play music that he has no familiarity with because he doesn't know the music. He knew all of those songs. He knew it was 50 Cent Mini Man. He knew it was Tupac All Eyes on Me. So you're familiar with the music.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot in terms of the notion that one shouldn't assume your lack of familiarity or otherwise with the music, and therefore shouldn't profile you in that regard when you knew all of the songs. That's point number one. Point number two, and most importantly, is an element on the surface, as always with a lot of these topics. Is what he's saying correct on the surface? Yes. However, this is the world as it is constructed. It's not the world according to Ryan Clark. It isn't even the world according to me. It's not the world according to Dogon. In the world as presently constructed, everyone is profiled. Everyone. Now, of course, we can wax poetically talking about how wonderful it would be if we lived in the perfect utopian society full of cotton candy and marshmallows, where everyone is just judged on a foundation of, you know, when I meet a person, I don't assume anything. I just meet them at face value and just get to know them from there. There's no prejudgment taking place. Yeah, it would be wonderful if the world was actually like that way. And we can talk about how lovely it would be for us to live in such a world, but we don't really live in such a world, nor will we ever live in such a world. Everyone's profiled. I am fairly certain that that same Uber driver who played rap for Ryan Clark probably will play Sabrina Carpenter if a couple of teenage white girls got into the car.
Exactly.
He'll probably play, I don't know, what else is popular these days? You know, any of this stuff, any of that kind of stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure somebody demographically, you know, whatever fits the bill. And I'm pretty sure if a couple of white guys wearing straw hats got into the car, you know, maybe this guy is going to play Tim McGraw or Jelly Roll. I'm pretty sure that Uber driver is going to act in kind based upon whatever prejudgment inclinations he gathers from the customers that he transports.
Exactly.
So don't make it seem like you are unique in this particular situation, Ryan Clark, which is what he loves to do, is get on his soapbox and engage in extreme victimhood. The third point that I'd like to make with this is maybe that person's familiar with you, Ryan Clark. I've lost count of the amount of times I've seen Ryan Clark on ESPN.
That's right.
Whether it was first
take
take,
about it.
I have lost count
Yeah,
of the amount of times I've seen Ryan Clark on NFL Countdown, First
that's right.
Take,
Mhm.
Get Up, and every opportunity he gets, he's putting in some black reference of some pop culture
Yep.
thing
Yep.
in his analysis.
Yep.
Whether it's Martin, Friday, any of the Friday movies, Boys in the Hood references, Menace to Society references. I've lost count of the amount of times that he has conveniently put those references. He sort of interlaced them into his sports commentary.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard you reference Friday, next Friday, Friday after next, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, Martin, the Wayans Brothers, Living Single, all of this stuff, right? I've heard you reference all of these various black pop culture iconic television shows and movies and rap songs all throughout your sports commentary. And so, given that that's your media profile, is it really so beyond the pale that your Uber driver played Tupac when you got in the car? People need to take him and see. He is, and when I said I don't really understand what he's on, I said that sarcastically because I think I do know what he's on.
Okay.
And I do believe that he is trying to be a modern day voice box for his community, Marcus Garvey type person, but within a sports context. I believe that that's what he views himself as. And so, even though a person such as myself can poke all of these various holes in the litany of arguments that he posits on the internet, he nevertheless is righteous in his cause of pointing out the various ways in which he experiences injustices on an everyday basis.
Of course.
Because despite his statures in life, he is the consummate victim of all of these systemic systems of control that is constantly putting him down, all the way down to the elementary level of getting into an Uber and having somebody who more likely than not watches you on ESPN puts on Tupac when you get into the car. So, there's a bit of hypocrisy inherent in his words, in my opinion. And people do like to do this kind of stuff, this double talk, where you feel some type of way because someone inferred something based upon your profile and your speech and your disposition. But you are proving them right, given how you indulge in your very profile and speech and behavior and disposition. And I don't think that he is absolved from that. So I was a bit annoyed by these comments, albeit not thrown off guard, because I've come to expect this from him.
Yeah, well said, bro. And I agree. And to touch on the point again from the driver's perspective, he's just trying to get a tip and a high rating. And he, this guy's not trying to indict you as a human being for being black, bro. He's just playing the black people playlist. And I'm telling you right now, I had a playlist for every situation. So like I was saying, it was black dudes from the trap, black dudes from college, black girls in college, black girls that I picked up from the nail shop, black girls I picked up from the projects, white people I picked up at the airport, white people I picked up at Walmart. Like, it was like a whole thing that I had going. And it was like, oh, okay, that's what I'm picking up. Hit that playlist. But one thing that I did realize is that you're better off just playing your own music and not trying to placate the people. So each one of my playlists was songs that I would listen to with those respective people. And what it is it comes off a lot more genuine. It doesn't come on like a put on because, maybe that guy does listen to All Eyes on Me. Maybe that's how that guy feels.
Clark said the dude was mouthing the
words.
Oh, yeah.
Even when, Not Like Us coming on, I guess he was using the N-word or whatever. And I'm sure Ryan Clark used Not Like Us on one of his telecasts. So, hey, man, what are you talking about? So, one thing that I realized, though, is that everybody loves Sade. Everybody loves Sade. You can play any Sade song, picking up any group of people, they love it. And classical music, surprise, surprise, literally everybody likes it. No, I didn't play that from dudes from the trap. I didn't play that. Those guys had a specific playlist. All right. But it was literally everybody else. Like I could play because at some point I was just like, yo, I'm over it, bro. Like I'm just listening to classical music. Because I was listening to music so much, I got tired of listening to all the lyrics. So classical music was helping me relax while I drive. And so, but everybody was like, love the music. And I would notice a difference in tips.
Mhm.
So all in all, you know, that's just a word to the wise to the driver, man, you know, because you could offend people with your playlist. Surprise, surprise. So, but here's the thing. You know, for somebody like Ryan Clark, and this is my gripe with him, for somebody like him that professes and you know lets everybody know how smart he is, how much like he's not a dummy, he's cultured, and you know he can use big words, he can string together really good sentences and all this other stuff. Like he's really tries to separate himself to let everybody know that he's not your average everyday Negro, which is fine, I guess. Okay. But for somebody that is so smart and stuff like that, the takes that he gives are so one-dimensional. And so like last week when we were talking about whatever he was saying, it was like, yeah, on the surface though.
Right.
And so with this take, it's the same thing. It's like, yeah, bruh, but the surface though. And the one thing that you are doing is the way that you are giving your takes, Ryan Clark, it's stirring the pot more.
I think that's what he's trying to do though. Like I think that's what they're getting. I think he wants to get people emotionally charged.
Well, yeah.
I'm at the point now where that's what I think is the end goal for a lot of this is, because why otherwise won't you discuss the nuance of the conversation? Like
Right.
you make everything a black and white either or scenario, and most people are going to latch onto the either or the or.
Correct.
And so that I mean, I just think that at all points in between, people like him, and we also talked about Jamel Hill last week because she's another one. They use race as a tool, a weapon almost. They almost weaponize it as a part of the way that they do their very jobs in an effort to keep people on tilt. In case y'all forgot, let me make sure that I remind y'all how they doing us out here, people.
Yeah.
And it's like that's how they're conducting their jobs all the time at this point. And it is, in my opinion, it serves no purpose other than to keep people on tilt, I believe. Because
Agreed.
why else would you? Because if you introduce the nuance into the conversation, there's a lesser likelihood that people are going to be so tilted and or triggered by the conversation at hand. Because there's reason inherent in that. Somewhere in the gray is the aspect of reason, which can help to foster more understanding.
Correct.
But if you don't steer the conversation in that direction, the only result is going to be people being tilted.
Right.
And because of what you just said, how intelligent these people uphold themselves to be, I have to believe you are aware of this
and doing it on purpose.
Yes. And so if you're aware of it and you continue to operate in this manner, I am compelled to believe you're doing it on purpose.
I agree.
And so if you're doing it on purpose, it is to serve some sort of an end goal, which I can't see any other one. I can't see any end goal other than you're doing it to put people on tilt. I don't see what the other end goal is, but I believe it's intentional.
I agree. I believe, and so agents of chaos come in all shapes and sizes, forms, right? And this guy, he has a chaotic form of doing whatever the hell he's doing, and he you know, putting people on tilt. That's a good way of describing it, because that's what it does. You know, it fires up those channels in Black people that experience this, and then you know, from sure from other communities and stuff like this, you know, who are looking at it objectively and going, pretty much probably saying what we're saying, but it's like, well, what did you want him to play? You know, and it's like, hey man, cut the guy some slack. So there's, like you said, it's the either or the or thing. So honestly, yeah, that's his whole thing. That's what I feel like ESPN does. Like that's why they hired those guys, to be honest. That's why they have those certain talking points. That's why they can say all of the inflammatory stuff that they say and then come back again next week. You know, I do think it's serving a greater purpose. And I think it's the purpose is to for Black people to stay in this vibration. of woe is us. When you observe that, what Ryan Clark just went through, when you observe that and you go through that, you should know by now what the hell you just witnessed. Again, such a smart man. But to come to the internet and then lay this out like this, it leads me to believe that he is an intentional pot stirrer,
Yes,
a habitual stirrer, and I don't care for it. Now I get laughs out of it because, like, when you were playing the clip, I'll laugh, but it does. There is a part of it that bothers me, because I'm sure there are a lot of Black people that watch Ryan Clark and feel like he's holding us down, in a good way. He's got our back. But I'm telling you right now, guys, all right, this kind of rhetoric doesn't help. All right, when you're putting it in the pot, it starts to boil over, and it's like that pink sludge in Ghostbusters, bro. Yeah, man, like, it adds to the frustration that's going on in this country and all this other stuff. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to live in some kumbaya world and all this other stuff, but as you mentioned, bro, there's nuance to these things, and there's gray to stuff. And the best way of understanding your reality is knowing that it's not just binary, that there's subtle things that are going on that can help you not get frustrated in these contexts, so you don't upload a video and put it on the internet. So I wish he would teach better, but no, he loves to play, as you say, man, the victim card, and he likes to teach it as well.
yeah.
So for people out there, man, that's like, hey man, that's happened to me. Yeah, it happened to me too. It happens to everybody. Like you said, everybody gets profiled about everything. You know what I'm saying? So why is yours more special than the next? Knock it off.
Because you're aggrieved. That's why.
Yeah.
Like, we tend to do that because historically we are so aggrieved. Ours is the only one that's most important. Everyone else is not a big deal, even though everyone else experiences this. I've noticed this thing where, and everyone does this. It's not just us. I feel like everyone does this, but I've noticed this interesting dynamic where people will become defensive towards being profiled, even though said profiling is accurate. So it's like, even though the profiling is accurate, you're still going to get upset that the profiling took place. But was the profiling accurate? I mean, yeah, it was. So at the end of the day, where's the damage that's being done just because it happened? It's one of those weird things. And like, I'm not necessarily trying to suggest that people shouldn't feel some type of way about being profiled. Rather, if the profiling is accurate, maybe you should take inventory on why the profiling is accurate, not on the fact that the profiling took place. Right. Because again, he knew the word, he knew the songs. It's not like he was oblivious to the music being played.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it that you're really being triggered by? The fact that it took place, or the fact that it was accurate? You didn't not know the songs being played.
Right.
So like, he'd have a greater leg to stand on, in my opinion, if he got into some unsuspecting Uber driver's car and all of a sudden there's all of his rap songs being played that he didn't know about. But you knew all of this stuff. So where is the gripe really? The fact that someone can accurately profile you as such because you are familiar with this, or the fact that they actually took it there with said profiling? I don't believe it's the latter. I think internally, the frustration is that the profiling was accurate in the first place. At which point you have to take inventory of that, bro, because that's a you problem, I feel. So, and we all do this. This isn't just specific to Black people, in my opinion. Everyone does this, especially nowadays, where everyone has this bully pulpit that they can lean on online to voice their displeasure with being victimized in some kind of way. These days, everybody has the platform to just filibuster on and on about how they've been victimized in some capacity. So everyone's doing this kind of stuff nowadays, but it does not take away from the fact that it is a shared reality. It's not unique to everyone. And if it was an accurate form of profiling, maybe there's some self-reflection that needs to take place, as opposed to getting so frustrated all the time and emphasizing the fact that someone decided to take it there, because there was probably a reason for it. And the reason wasn't all that inaccurate.
Yeah. And I don't think the reason was malicious either. So Now, if he got in the car and he started playing like monkey sounds, some jungle stuff, it's like, okay, now this guy's being racist. Now this guy's being racist. You know what I'm saying? Middle-aged black man hops in my Uber, right? And then I start playing Katy Perry. That's probably gonna reduce my tip. So he was just trying to do his thing, man. So knock it off, bro. And let's not make this a hot topic, a hot point, in the sense that now there's going to be people out here that watch this Ryan Clark thing because they love the pivot. And so now they watch this video. Yeah, now they hop into an Uber because they got a flight to catch somewhere, and soccer mom, picks up black man and starts playing Not Like Us because she likes Not Like Us because she thinks Kendrick's dope and he won a Pulitzer Prize. You know what I'm saying? So now all of a sudden, yeah, see, here we go again, getting profiled again. Just because I'm black doesn't mean I like hey, bro.
Even though you do like Kendrick, though.
Yeah, man. So calm down, pump the brakes, bro. It ain't that serious, man. Sometimes things just happen, bro.
Yeah.
So just knock it off, bro. So
that's my thing. They'll say that. Here we go again. What you think because I'm black? You think because I'm black, I must like Kendrick because I'm black? When actually you really do like Kendrick. So
yeah, man.
I don't know. This to me was just more race baiting, and it's more irresponsible, lazy race baiting. Which I don't even think I needed to qualify that because I think race baiting is inherently lazy and illogical. So I didn't even really need to put those qualifiers on it. But be that as it may, that's what this was to me. Let's not engage in the nuance and let me just get on my Twitter/X and talk about how I experienced another day of being victimized, and somewhere in America, there were people who watched that video and they were like, yeah, this needs to stop.
Hey man, shout out to Ryan Clark, bro. Hey man, even though I good laugh because he'd be so serious doing all of this stuff. So that's the part about it that's comical, man.
No, we lost him.
I'm still here.
Yeah, you still here. Yeah, I'm with you. He definitely believes it. That's for sure. And now we move on to Rick Ross. Rick Ross, who is being scolded by his daughter online for not acting his own age. Rick Ross, who is currently how old is Rick Ross? Rick Ross is 49 years old. So Rick Ross, 49 years old, is being reprimanded by his adult daughter online for trying to act her age instead of acting his own age. She feels some type of way about this. She feels as though he needs to slow down. She questions when he's ever going to slow down because it looks kind of silly for him to be, pushing 50, but still trying to, essentially do and act the same way that she does. So this says Rick Ross's 24-year-old daughter accuses him of trying to act her age. Slow down. Rick Ross's eldest daughter, 24-year-old Toy Roberts, recently said that her father needs to slow down and start acting his own age. She went on to allege that her father has 8 children in total and that the only one of his other children, William Roberts III, is an adult while the rest are still minors. Ross has not yet responded to what his daughter said about him, but as reported by People, the 49-year-old rapper has only 5 publicly known children. He welcomed his first child, Toy Roberts, with Wags to Riches star Lastonia Leviston in 2002. He later welcomed William Roberts III with Tia Kemp in 2005, and he has since gone on to play football in college. His 3 younger children, Berkeley, Billion, and Bliss, were born in 2017, 2017, and 2020, and he shares all of them with his ex-girlfriend, Brianna Camille. The rapper has also recently revealed that he's got a new book, Renaissance of the Boss, Notes from a Creative Reawakening, due next year. In a recent chat with TMZ, he shared that he suffered from seizures caused by drug use, and it was particularly bad during a 2022 incident on a plane that ultimately required an emergency landing. So here's Rick Ross's daughter trying to, talk her dad into doing a better job of acting his own age. Disclaimer for anyone who gets caught off guard by suggestive language, because there is plenty of that in this clip. But
Okay.
here is Toy Roberts trying to tell her dad to act his own age.
Your dad's actually old. You said that like that shit was gonna insult me. My daddy is old as fuck. And act like he motherfucking 20. I love his life. But I be telling that nigga, slow down. When is you gonna stop? When is you gonna stop doing this? Look, like you act like you motherfucking my age. You're not. You're old. Cause if I'm 24, that means you knocking on motherfucking 50, boy. That's old as shit. Like 50. Look, listen to how it sound. 50.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
Before my daddy had 8 kids, he had 2. So 2 of his kids are only like, there's only 2 of us who are adults. Everybody else is fucking kids. They have to live with their moms, their children, their babies. The oldest one is 8 years old, which is my little sister. Everybody else is kids. Like, we don't have siblings that's 16, 15, 14. My daddy got 8 kids, y'all. And the oldest 2 is 20 and 23. My brother doesn't live here because he goes to college. So I'm the only motherfucker here. It's not about favoritism. It's just that's how life is going right now. And all my other siblings are kids. I'm the youngest. Did you just not hear what I said? Damn. Of course y'all wouldn't know he had that many. My daddy is a very private person.
All right, there you go. So there's that. So 49 years old Rick Ross and his 20-year-old daughter feels like he doesn't act his own age. So, well, she's 24, not 24. So what do you think about that? Is there any meat on that bone?
Of course, we've mentioned that here before. I think there was I don't remember exactly which video it was. I think it was a specific one to Rick Ross, but I know I've mentioned on him before that, the guy, he just, he acts like he's a young person. He from the flexing to the lyrics to, just his worldview on stuff. It's like, damn, bro, like, yeah, you're about to get a senior citizens card at Denny's soon. You know what I'm saying? And you still out here acting like, you a YN. But, he comes from that era. He comes from that era in rap where the guys stopped. Like, they always had a persona. Rappers always had a persona. But Rick Ross is one of the first that never took it off when he got home. It's like the guy is 24/7 being a rapper. He's being a rapper while he sleep. He never drops the act. Everybody knows the fact that he was a correctional officer and all that other stuff. So he did have a life before being a rapper. But when he became a rapper and that narrative was floating out there about him being a correctional officer, he would double and triple down on the fact that he's the biggest boss and he sell all the bricks.
That he's still rich off cocaine. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, things have got a lot hotter in the world, so you can't be talking like that no more. So there's a part of I'm an entertainer that he embraces. However, there's still this thing of don't get it misconstrued. Like, I really was like that. I really am like that. I'm just on a low kind of like, so he never dropped it. And I think one of the reasons that these rappers like Rick Ross, who has sustained so many trends, so many fads, so many rappers, but he still remains relevant, may not be musically, but he still remains relevant, is because he has this mechanism within him that he is this person. And so he's going to entertain until his last day. So she talking about he's 49. Girl, that's still young to him. Because he's going to be keeping up this act when he's 64. So he's never going to stop being this person. This is who he is. And I'm sure way back in the day, if you ran into him when he was in high school, he probably still had this delusional way of viewing the world in. So he just channeled his delusion into this character called Rick Ross, and he's been living that. So, that's her dad. I know she's just trying to impart some wisdom to the man. Like, hey, bro, like, you know what I mean? You is getting up there. So you might not want to be living like this. You might not want to be probably drinking or doing whatever, partying all night long. Like, maybe you need to sit down. But trust me, that's going to fall on deaf ears because he seems to be all the way wound up. So I don't think he's going to stop on his own volition. But what are your thoughts, man, on Rick Ross being told by his own daughter that, hey, man, you 49 years old. You're going to have to shut this down, man. You're acting my age. What are your thoughts, man?
I don't remember whether it was last week or 2 weeks ago. We talked about DJ Academics going back and forth with Mano. And DJ Academics' primary thesis was, you guys are at an advanced age in the rap game, but you still act like you were 20, 24, 25 years old. You still talk, dress, and behave as though you're a YN out in the streets doing crazy, wild, reckless stuff. There's been no maturation process to you, so why should anyone pay attention or listen to anything that you have to say? You still basically act like a child. And I pretty much was co-signing that, but from the standpoint that these guys are largely a byproduct of hip-hop's refusal to age. There are several forces at work that I believe actively conspire to keep hip-hop from being able to age gracefully as other genres have. The biggest conspiring force is obviously the commercialization of certain forms of content. You can't actually leverage the particular forms of content that are mainstream and commodified within the genre if you are of an advanced age. It's kind of hard to do that. So in order for you to be able to leverage these buckets of content effectively, you quite literally have to psychologically stay in the mindset of a younger person, because those themes largely speak to a person who's in their younger, more immature phase of life.
Correct.
So the only way that you can actually be successful and do that into perpetuity, if you don't pivot and do something else and you want to stay in the rap game, the only way that you can do that into perpetuity successfully is if you, despite getting older, stay in that same psychological place.
Correct.
So what we are witnessing in real time is a lot of these rappers getting older, but very much like the music and the genre and the social environment around them itself, they are not aging gracefully. So I would lump Rick Ross into that category. Rick Ross to me is in the same category as Jim Jones, as Benzino. You listen to these guys. You listen to these guys talk, and you think that they, are working with Nino Brown and his New Jack City in 1992. Right. It's like, bro, like you still talk like this, you still dress like this, you have grown children, but they are a byproduct of this, infantile brainwashing form of social conditioning that is a part of this music. And these active forces at work, in my opinion, have been effective in being able to keep this genre in this particular place of being hyper ageist and hyper obsessed with youth more than anything else, to the point where and I've mentioned some of these case studies before. There's proof of concept of this. And again, I'll use the example of The Game. back, I would say back in the early 2000 teens when him and Jay-Z were having their soft beef. And I say soft because really it was only the game actually. The game was the only one who was participating because Jay-Z was pretty much ignoring it. But the whole time, the game's sole position in this entire situation was Jay-Z shouldn't be considered better than me or winning in this particular rap battle because he's 30 plus and I'm young.
Oh man, I remember that crap.
So the game wasn't saying I'm a better artist, I have a better catalog, I'm a better lyricist, I make better songs, my writing skills are better. He wasn't saying any of that. He was just saying I'm young. And by the merit of me being young, I'm better. And that to me was a time capsule, if you will, of the way to observe the way that this genre has devolved into being hyper obsessed with youth. And that to me is independent of other forms of music where the culture is kind of allowed to age gracefully. And as a result, the artists therein are also allowed to age gracefully, which is why you have more instances of what you like to call age appropriate music in other genres than you would otherwise see in this one. So Rick Ross is a byproduct of this. And these guys aren't doing this on purpose. Rick Ross doesn't act like a 24-year-old on purpose. Like Rick Ross isn't cognizant of the fact that he acts like a 24-year-old. He's just acting himself.
Right.
It just so happens that him acting himself is akin to a 24-year-old's behavior. So we're going to see this stuff play out in real time. And I mentioned before, like you kind of just said this as well. These guys are going to be 60, 70 years old, and they're still going to be talking like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because the culture is still going to age in this specific manner where they're not going to age gracefully. And so if you choose to still be a part of it, if you still want to be active, if you still want to be making music, if you still want to be a part of the culture, you're going to have to acquiesce to the behavioral sets inherent in the ecosystem of the music, which is to continue to be hyper obsessed with youth, thus not aging gracefully yourself. Yeah. So, she can say what she wants, and I hear where she's coming from.
Yeah, sure.
But it's not going to change nothing. Her dad is still going to be this way 10 years, 15, 20 years from now, and that's not going to stop. It's going to take many other things way above him changing in order for future generations, because he's a lost cause. He's going to be this way until he dies. But it's going to take other things bigger than the individuals themselves changing in order for it to necessitate a change in the individual practitioners. And until that takes place, this will continue. So I hear where she's coming from, but I suggest that she gets used to it.
Yeah. And, to speak on the genre and its, ageist kind of way of being, as you like to talk about, there was a shift in when hip hop actually became rap. We've discussed that on here, a number of times. But, as an art form, it was more of a type of blues in the sense that you were doing storytelling initially, and then it got into braggadocious rap. Dr. Amos Wilson, the guy, I love watching his videos on YouTube, man. Dr. Amos, shout out to him. He's the one that I'm watching one of his videos, and he pointed out about the braggadocious types of raps and where it changed and transitioned from a storytelling format to I'm the biggest, baddest guy around town. I'm the best guy. I got all the money. I got all the women and, all of that stuff. So when rap went into that bucket, that's when he didn't talk about ages, but me bringing it into this conversation, why not being younger while doing that be a bigger flex? So it's like, if it's always about flexing, well, I'm a millionaire and I'm younger than you, that's a flex. So, when they're older, they can talk about the yachts, the parties, the millions of dollars, the Bugatti. Okay. They can talk about all that stuff, but they can't mention their age. So they can't do that, but they can damn sure act it. And so, but so to talk about what you're talking about with the game, because I remember that half battle, like I don't know, it's clout chasing. Let's call it what it is. That term wasn't hanging out back then, but that was definitely clout chasing. You know what I'm saying? And I was listening to the documentary, man, because there was some beats on there, man.
It was, yeah.
Flames.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to the documentary, and I'm listening to that song where I think it was I don't know if it was Ed Lover or somebody that was interviewing the game, and then he was talking about something. No, I wasn't just Jay-Z. That's just something I wouldn't do. And I was like, man, what are you talking about? Because at the time I was like, how are you even beefing with Jay? But of course, whatever. Yeah. So that was a one-sided thing or whatever. And his argument was, I'm a young dude doing this. You're in your third year old, you're crusty and all this other stuff. Ha 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 ha. And so it's like, nah, man. But if things are predicated on the American way, okay, the American way is be successful very early. Mm-hmm. And if you're a millionaire before you're 25, you're doing things. You know what I'm saying? You got you a nice car. You've done all the right things. I've had millions of dollars before I turned 30. So if you're living your life like that, then being a rapper like that is a big flex. That's part of the American culture, is be a baller at a young age. Not taking into account of some people are late bloomers or none of that stuff. The nuance in life. And why does making $1 million, at least at that time or whatever, is the pinnacle of you being a successful person. So these are American ideals that got transitioned into rap when rap became braggadocious. So naturally, being a youthful person while being a rapper and being a millionaire is a flex. So these guys always have to live in that energy of being whatever, because they started off with that and they can't drop off. They don't know anything else. So, but yeah, it's an arrested development for all of these dudes, So it's not so much the clothes, because whatever with that stuff, right? But it's definitely the mentality. It's definitely how they handle their beefs. It's definitely how they move in life. It's the energy of somebody in their 20s. So, not the father of 8. You know what I mean? It doesn't come off that way. So, but yeah, man, I really think that overall, this is a phenomenon that, so long as the industry is compromised the way that it is, we will not see a shift. Hopefully, future generations will take matters upon themselves and renaissance things. But so long as it's in the grips of these labels and stuff like that, they're going to want another NBA Youngboy, Kodak Black, or whatever for the next generation to instill the same values. So, yeah, man, this guy, as you mentioned, is a byproduct of an industrial industry of brainwashing. Yeah. And, now he's a 50-year-old man with facial tattoos and popping bottles and riding yachts. Like he hasn't slowed down. So it is what it is, man. And of course, you want her dad to be around for a long time. How long can he keep doing this? Yeah, man, but he's the biggest boss that we've all seen thus far. So he's not stopping anytime soon, man.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that youthful financial freedom is an American ideal and the ultimate flex. Mm-hmm. But it hits different with urban, more specifically hip hop culture, than everywhere else, because I think that those American ideals are transfixed anywhere in which you can observe modern American commercialization. Mm-hmm. And that's no different in any other genre of music, or quite frankly, any other form of entertainment. But for whatever reason, other genres of music seem to be more adept at being able to age gracefully. I look at some of these people like Bon Jovi and Keith Richards and Bono and some of these other individuals, even people like Ozzy Osbourne up until he passed away, rest in peace. The Grateful Dead, Rolling Stones, people like this. These individuals, they are heralded not because they still act like 20-year-old kids, but because they have aged and advanced and matured into this esteem point in which they're kind of elder statesmen for the foundation that they originally laid 30, 40, 50 years ago. And so it's almost as if they're revered in spite of their age. When I kind of see the opposite in rap. It's like if you're 30 and 40 and you're in rap, people want to kick you out the door. It's like it's like you have no place here. And the only way that you do have a place here is if you are jigabooing it up like a Rick Ross, where you're still being somebody who's talking about being rich off cocaine, even though you're 50 years old. And so, I'm pretty sure there are some cultural idiosyncratic things going on there that we can peel back to explain the differences. But on the surface, the point is, in my opinion, hip hop and the culture around it just isn't given the room, the runway to be able to age with grace. You either got to stay in this psychological pocket or get out and move on. And there are some exceptions to that. You have some guys who are able to keep it going even though they're getting older. The one that immediately comes to my mind, and I've mentioned him 1,000 times, but he's the greatest example of this to me, is Nas. Nas is probably, as far as I can tell, he's been the best at being able to age gracefully but still be relevant and make stuff that sounds good. Most of these other guys, they come to a crossroads and they either choose to quit or they choose to continue, but they choose to continue still trying to make the same stuff that they were making when they were 24, 25.
Exactly. Yep.
And it just sounds ridiculous.
Yep.
I don't know who's buying it, but they still going to do it anyway, because I feel as though they believe that's the only way that they can stay in it. They have no choice but to acquiesce to that. And so there are, like I said before, there are bigger forces at work that are sort of perpetuating this dynamic and forcing these guys into doing this. But it's only going to change for future generations. It can't change for our generation or the generations before us. So anybody we came up listening to, or anyone who's around our age, who they are is who they will be. It can only change for the younger guys coming up who can be shown a different way. But if the industry stays as presently constructed, it will not stop. So you'll just continue to see these infant-minded people grow into mature adulthood, still talking, acting, and behaving the same way.
Yeah, it's very sad, man. And the last thing I'll say is, and I brought it up on here before, and I had a professor in school, and he was saying that yeah, like he was basically telling us that we need to stop listening to rap, hip hop, or whatever, because he said it's the only genre where it glorifies not being mature. And so, and if you are successful in, like Rick Ross, successful in a rap game, in an industry and in a genre where glorifying childhood is every song out there, then why would you want to grow up? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't equate. So I was a little offended when he said that. He was like, "Oh, hey, man," and I'm like, "Man, you ain't listening to it, bro. You ain't listening to all of it, because not all the stuff is." But he was just speaking overall, and overall, it promotes irresponsibility, not being mature, not taking care of business, man. It's about everything else. And yeah, he's got a valid point. So, and Rick Ross is definitely on, of the Mount Rushmore of our generation when it comes to these industry rappers. It's Jeezy, Wayne, and Ross, and T.I.'s, and like T.I. still has episodes here and there too where he has to let people know who he is, even though he tries to transition over family man and father, but he'll have his moments where he gotta let everybody know he's Tip still. So nah, man, these guys are never growing out of this stuff. So it's sad to watch these minstrel shows age, but hey, man, you got to put your soft white shoes on every damn day, bro. Sad
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. It is. It is. It's interesting, man. It's going to be interesting to see 20, 30 years later. These guys are going to be 80 years old, still talking like this. It's going to be, and still, it's going to be hilarious to watch, bro. But I'm gonna have my popcorn ready because there's not going to be a light bulb moment where they grow out of it. You're 49, 50, you're in your 40s. It is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
that's set in stone. So all we can do is just sit back and watch the show. All right. Speaking of minstrel shows, we got Ice Spice, who I didn't even know this. So I didn't know. I know that there's a new SpongeBob movie. I'm aware of that. Didn't know Ice Spice was voicing one of the characters in the movie. I was unaware of that. And so I learned this, I think, yesterday. And then it just so happens that you sent this, and I was just like, why am I not surprised? But Ice Spice here is catching some backlash for what she chose to wear to a premiere event for this new SpongeBob movie. So Ice Spice showed up to a SpongeBob movie. She was wearing a see-through get-up where you can, see a large portion of her body, as all of these sheer / see-through outfits do. And she's wearing a thong and whatnot. And it's SpongeBob. It's a kids movie, and this is a premiere event with kids in attendance. And so some people voiced their displeasure with Ice Spice choosing to dress like this. And at this point, she hasn't responded to any of the criticism. I'm not sure she will, but there is some criticism, at least online, of people talking about, the fact that she chose to wear an outfit like this at a SpongeBob movie premiere. So this says Ice Spice under fire for sporting see-through dress at SpongeBob movie screening. Ice Spice is certainly no stranger to flaunting her figure, and typically fans have zero complaints. Recently, however, the 25-year-old attended a screening of the SpongeBob movie Search for SquarePants in New York City. She rocked a see-through white lace dress with a matching thong to the event, leaving little to the imagination. While few are taking issue with the look itself, many are calling the femc out for wearing something so revealing while surrounded by children. Dressed like that at a kid's premiere is so insane, one Instagram user writes in the Neighborhood Talks comment section. Fire the stylist. Not one person in the room thought to say anything. Another wonders. Someone else says, speaking to children in a thong under see-through lingerie is wild. All right, so here is Ice Spice, and somebody actually had the gall to give this chick a microphone so that she can actually talk at this thing. And here is this sound and video of Ice Spice at this event wearing said see-through dress.
Cute. You guys look so cute. Thank you all for coming. This is my first voiceover. Sorry, I'm yeah, enjoy. I've never seen the film, so this will be my first time too. Hey Drew, you're so cute. Hey y'all in the back. Sorry, I'm so shy and weird. Yeah, it's my first time. I hope you enjoy it. I was really nervous, but this is so exciting, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of this. And I'm grateful that you guys came out to watch it. So yes. Okay, I'll see you after.
That is so cringe. It is beyond cringe. So here you can see some of the comments on the Neighborhood Talk post. Shorty had her ass out at the SpongeBob premiere. This is a kids movie, no why a see-through frock. I'm really not one to call people's clothes inappropriate, but this is crazy for a kids film. You supposed to be a romper and a killer heel. What is this?
What the hell are they talking about?
Yeah. Ice Spice makes her voice acting debut in the new SpongeBob movie. Her song "Big Guy" is also featured on the soundtrack. At the time of writing, she has not publicly addressed the controversy surrounding her movie screening look. This isn't the only hot water she's found herself in lately, however. So there you have it, man. So, some people are unmuting on this, but, Ice Spice, in what I would say is typical Ice Spice fashion, showed up to this event wearing this see-through outfit, and she's getting a little bit of flack for it, though she hasn't said anything about it. So, what do you make of this situation?
Sadly, not surprised. Not surprised here. The creators of this this movie knew exactly what they were doing by having her in the damn thing in the first place. See, back in the 90s, just her being a part of the cast would have been a problem enough. But people are just blowing that off like, oh, okay, well, Ice Spice is gonna be in the SpongeBob movie pretty much as herself, I'm sure. Okay. So the creators knew what they were doing by putting her in there. It was a splash play on their behalf, and whatever the conversation was for her to be at this premiere, it was also a splash play. And it was like, hey, just come out here with your assets out. It's going to be good publicity. And they don't care, man. They don't care about the kids. It's not about them anymore, man. Now, Ice Spice was also at I think the Nickelodeon Awards this past year. Her and that girl that we covered that said she's colored. Tyler. So they were both at the Nickelodeon Awards. And at the time when it happened, I wanted to kind of bring that up and get into that conversation because we was fresh off talking about Tyler too. But at the same time, I was like, well, whatever, man. Like, what else do you expect from Ice Spice? Because she was wearing something in there that I felt was a little too revealing for Kids' Choice Awards, man. Like, what is that about? But, these people out here are about hypersexualization. They're about conditioning the new wave of humans that's going to be coming down the line that this is normal. Showing up somewhere at an event with your ass out, literally, is part of the course. It's what you're supposed to be doing, so yeah, this clearly lets me know what page the Nickelodeon's on. And I would normally attack the person because if we had a Sexy Red topic, I'm letting Sexy Red have it because I feel like as slow as people may think Sexy Red is, I don't think she's a dunce. When it comes to Ice Spice,
yes,
she is. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in the room.
She might be the first ever actual. I'm starting to think she's an AI bot, like a flesh AI bot, like a real live humanoid artificial intelligence.
You know what? That wouldn't be a stretch. That wouldn't be a stretch, bruh. Because is she even sentient at this point, man? The computers are puting in her brain right there, man. She couldn't even get a sentence out.
She has not learned to compute information on her own. She is still very much reliant on human input.
Yes, man. So I don't know what's going on with this one, man. But so I'm not necessarily mad at her because every time I see her, now it's not that I'm condoning it when I say that. It's just that why would I be frustrated with somebody that's not there? You know what I'm saying? She literally goes, "Where should I go? Over there? Yeah. And turn around again? Yes. And twerk, please." This is a SpongeBob movie. Who gives a damn? She probably wouldn't even say that.
Don't ask. Yeah.
Why would she? That means she would have a conscience at that point.
You gave her too much credit by saying
my bad, bro. Yeah, man. So, hey, man, Chat GPT give me more pushback than Ice Spice would. So, I'm sorry, man. There's nothing to be mad at with that. But overall, I just think that this is part of the course as far as the hypersexualization of the next generation of people trying to normalize certain type of things. And because honestly, if anybody knows who Ice Spice is, and these young people do, they're desensitized to this. So I'm sure they weren't even shocked, and which is the sad part.
Right. Yeah.
But what are your thoughts, man, on Ice Spice showing up to the premiere of the new SpongeBob movie with all her assets showing? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. She doesn't think for herself. She is the anti-conscious approachian.
Yes.
She does not have an independent thinking bone in her body. She does not have the capacity to think for herself in any regard. Her level of conformity is so bad that she doesn't even realize she's conforming. She just does what anyone tells her to do. Stand here, hop here, dance here, jump here, wear this. There isn't a gear or a mechanism in her brain which activates to even ask whether such an outfit would be appropriate at a children's event. Agreed. She is on her brain, and I know that this sounds like I'm insulting her. I'm really not. I'm just speaking matter of factly here. I don't think she has the mental acuity to be able to ask such a question.
Right.
I'm so serious. I don't say that to be, I know that that's condescending, but I have no other way to express that thought.
Well, have you seen any of her other behaviors and other things that she does? It would lead you to believe what you just said, though.
Yeah, like I don't believe she is capable of thinking independently. I just don't. I don't think she has the IQ to question things. She just does what she's told. And in saying that, as you said, in good faith, I can't hold her wholly responsible. Yes. Because it's like a pet. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have a pet, like what's the highest plane of thinking for like a gerbil, a ferret? You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna get upset at your pet gerbil for eating your donut. Like the gerbil doesn't have the mental capacity to question whether it's doing the right or wrong thing by eating the donut. All it sees is donut, eat. You know what I'm saying? It's that elementary.
She sees money, she twerk. That's Ice Spice.
Yes. So I don't blame her. I don't hold her responsible. It's her handlers.
Yes, correct.
Whoever her handlers are, they're the ones who are ultimately responsible for this debacle. And I do believe that it is a debacle. But what is this more evidence of? Social deconstruction. Because it's trying to rewrite the history books in so much to reconfigure our brains on what appropriate forms of dress at children's events are, right? That's what all of this stuff is. All social deconstruction is creating an environment in which you question whether all things you used to think of as decent or appropriate make sense anymore. And if you are to question them, then you are also to question whether it is worth revisiting those things so that we can redefine them and create new definitions of decency and appropriateness.
Yes.
So the goal, and this, I completely agree with you 100%. Like, it's about impacting future generations and desensitizing them to any traditional notions of decency and appropriateness.
Yeah.
So that those kids that were at that screening will one day show up to formal events wearing see-through dresses themselves.
Yep.
Not because you want to buck the system and be inappropriate on purpose, but because in your mind, you now believe that that is appropriate.
Yes.
That's what this whole thing is. That's what social deconstruction is. It isn't rage against the machine. I'm gonna buck trends because I want to be a rebel. It's no, I genuinely now believe this is what appropriate means. So don't think that this stuff is by mistake. It's not by accident. It's very much purposeful. We want to redefine appropriate forms of dress so that an individual such as her can show up to a screening surrounded by children wearing an outfit like that, and we just believe that that's now appropriate forms of dress.
Right.
And the more it's pushed, the more it happens, the more prevalent it becomes, the more repeated the form of behavior is, the more desensitized you become to the notion that that is inappropriate. And so 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, it's not even going to be an afterthought. You'll just be like, oh, yeah, see-through dresses at a children's event. So what? That's appropriate.
Yeah.
Oh, a middle school dance, an elementary school event. Yeah, let me be a parent to my elementary school child and show up and drop them off at school at this elementary school and be advertising my OnlyFans.
which is low key already happening now.
It is happening. That literally already happened. We talked about it on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
This woman has a toddler child going to elementary school. She does OnlyFans. She has her OnlyFans advertised on her vehicle.
Oh,
the
yeah.
school tried to reprimand her for this, and she felt offended because they told her you're violating policy. It's against conduct policy. If you're going to bring your kid to school and you insist on doing that, take the advertisement down or park across the street. Do whatever you got to do, but you can't just show up here with your sex worker side gig advertised at this elementary school. But she's fully bought in on this madness.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to tell her this, you're holding her back because there's nothing inappropriate about that form of advertising at an elementary school.
Yeah, I need to get myself out the gutter, right?
Yeah, you're in the wrong. So this is what I'm talking about when I talk about social deconstruction.
Mm-hmm.
It is to create an environment in which one would never even question whether wearing a see-through dress at a children's event is appropriate or not. So, school bake sales, any sort of kids event, middle school dances, junior proms, stuff like that. Elementary school sleepovers where your kids' friends show up. Why not be my kid's mom? I'm still bad. I'm a baddie. I can't
help she look that good, right?
Right. Yeah. Like I got an elementary school child and my kid wants to have a sleepover, but I'm a baddie. So I'm gonna show up around these kids wearing my see-through outfit. So what? And it isn't that I'm doing it to buck a trend. I'm doing it because that is indeed appropriate. Because what is inappropriate? We're deconstructing everything to create new definitions.
Yep.
So this to me is agenda based. This is complete 100% agenda based.
100%.
And the best way to fund an agenda, to fuel it, to keep it going, is to put a puppet in place who has no capacity whatsoever to think for themselves. 101 classic agenda right here. And so, yeah, man, I'm not shocked. She's the perfect caricature of a person with which to put this out there. She's gonna do whatever she's told. She doesn't have an independent thinking bone in her body. That's the best way to execute this thing. And to me, it worked to a T. You'll see the fruits of this labor 5, 10, 15 years from now, because right now you still have people with some decency about them who will unmute to rage about this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but trust me, in about 10, 15, 20 years, no one's going to be raging about this because everyone's just going to be walking about doing the same thing, and no one's going to bat an eye because there is no delineation between appropriate and inappropriate anymore. Everyone can literally just do whatever they want, whenever they want, because that's what we want people to be able to do.
100%. And what is Nickelodeon on? What are they doing? Why was Ice Spice even at the awards? Do y'all listen to her music? Have y'all seen any of her videos? Why would you associate anything children-centric around anything that this woman does? So the fact that she was even at the awards was alarming. The thing she was wearing at the awards, to me, was alarming. But then you put her in a SpongeBob movie. Y'all know what movies do to kids. If you're an 8-year-old kid and you're watching this SpongeBob movie, this movie is everything to you. And so every character is a thing. So this new character with the pink hair is like, who's going? Oh, that's Ice Spice. So this kid looks up Ice Spice. What are you going to find when you search Ice Spice? It's basically softcore corn.
Yes.
So what are you, as Nickelodeon, what are you doing hiring this woman in the first place? If it's not agenda based. And so, yeah, we were having fun with Ice Spice because, it's talking about her being sentient and all this, questioning questioning this stuff. But the reason why we're doing that, and the reason why we were doing that, is because we were just trying to highlight the fact that this isn't somebody out here. Ice Spice is not maliciously herself going out there and say, I want to be on the SpongeBob thing. I want to be in a no. This is her agent, and these are people around her, aka her handlers. And so she is an industry. The people that create these industry plants, she is the ideal specimen. She does everything the agenda says. She shows up at a damn football game with Taylor Swift and some other random person. I was like, what is Ice Spice doing in this bunch of people?
Yeah.
How does she get up to that level if she's not an industry plant? And she just does whatever, whenever. So this won't even be the last thing that we see that she does that's kind of questionable. Why would it? Everything she does is questionable. So people like to throw darts at her. And again, I'm not out here caping.
Right.
She's a distraction of the people that are really trying to push something to the people out here. So, hey guys, it is what it is. It is what it is with this stuff, man. But yeah, social deconstruction. This is definitely part of the exhibit as evidence, locked and sealed. Like if this was some type of Law and Order, Matlock type situation, bro, we're bringing this stuff to the floor. Yeah, and it's like, no, this is exactly what we're talking about. How is this not social deconstruction?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it is what it is, bro. But I won't be watching this movie because I would watch stuff if I feel like it's whatever. But I'm long removed from SpongeBob content. It's probably like trying to watch a Simpsons movie at this point. Yeah. So I'm not even gonna be looking at it ironically, but I would give 1,000 lashes to Ice Spice. But yeah, I like your angle, bro. It's the handler, so I'm going over her head and whipping them with this one. But it is what it is, bro.
She's just being what is that thing?
Yeah,
ventriloquist. She's a ventriloquist dummy. Is it ventriloquist or whatever it is? The thing that's on the strings, the puppet that's on the string, and there's somebody like dangling it, and she's that. She's that, and so the person that's in control of what she does, of the people rather, who are in control of what she's doing, they are the ones who are at the head of the table. In terms of the perpetuation of a lot of this dangerous behavior and rhetoric.
Yes.
But yeah, this stuff to me is no mistake. It's not by accident, people. What is she doing there? And the crazy thing is, like with me, like I try to put myself in the shoes of a parent. I don't want to be this overbearing parent who shields their child from the world, but I also want to
correct.
I want to try to effectively help my child understand the difference between right and wrong, and decent and indecent, because those things still exist despite this culture's best efforts to deconstruct all this stuff. There is still a difference between indecent and decent. There's still a difference between inappropriate and appropriate. This stuff still matters. And like, if it were me and I was raising a child, and it's like, is she, if I found out that she was in the movie, I'd probably let it slide. Okay, if my kid's in the SpongeBob, we can still go see the movie. But the moment that she shows up dressed like that and doing that, that's when I'll pull out of it. And it's like, no, we're not going to be a part of this, because at this point now there's a visual spectacle to add to this madness, and I'm just not going to be a part of it in any capacity. So it's crazy, man. But this is 100% agenda based. This is outrageous that there wasn't an individual who thought to say maybe this is inappropriate at a kid's event. But that's what these agents of chaos, that's what it's all about. It is appropriate now. We're rewriting the rules. We want to do a complete 180 to where not only are we, they don't want to just merely have a debate as to whether it's appropriate or not. They wanted to have it be clearly redefined that dressing like that at a children's event is actually appropriate. So to me, it's insanity. It's complete insanity.
Crazy times, bro. I can't even shout out anybody on this one, bro. No. Not even ironically. Shout out to sentient beings, I would say. All my sentients. Y'all crazy.
God. Moving right along, we have a faux pas involving Nicki Minaj, who is increasingly trying to become more politically outspoken. She's aligned herself on the conservative side. She's very much a Trump supporter, and she's apparently a fan of Charlie Kirk, and she loves JD Vance and all these red people. And she recently was doing a speaking engagement with Charlie Kirk's widow and experienced a faux pas, which she called JD Vance an assassin. But, you know, what's more is, in light of her outward support lately for Charlie Kirk and the Charlie Kirkites out there in the world, there has been some old video that's resurfaced of Charlie Kirk expressing his disapproval of Nicki Minaj with respect to her being a role model for young Black women. And so this video is resurfacing because a lot of people are questioning why Nicki Minaj would be so gung-ho in favor of Charlie Kirk and the ideals that he represented, when the man himself didn't have very many nice things to say about her before his untimely demise, of course. Mm-hmm. So this article here pretty much sums up what we got going on here with this situation. Let's see. So where are you at? Here we go. So this says Charlie Kirk video calling Nicki Minaj a bad role model resurfaces after a Turning Point event. A resurfaced video showing Charlie Kirk criticizing Nicki Minaj as a role model has drawn renewed attention after Minaj appeared at a Turning Point USA event with his widow, Erica Kirk, where she spoke favorably about him. The older clip, recorded during a campus debate in April 2024, shows Charlie arguing that Minaj was not a good example for 18-year-old Black girls. So here is that particular video.
Right now, Black culture is being held captive by influences, songs, and role models. I mean, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B.
Okay, Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home.
Hold on a second. I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old Black girls. I don't think that songs that are talking about like glorifying wet female genitalia is exactly, I don't know which one wrote that song. Which one was it?
I think it was Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But by the way, the role models of the 1940s and 50s for Black America were completely different.
So it is a representation issue.
Hold on a second. No, not representation. It's who do you get your art from?
All right, so that's the clip that's being resurfaced. And so the article goes on to say, it remains unknown whether Charlie's views on the Pink Friday 2 rapper changed before his death in September. To make things even more confusing, conservative pundit Candace Owens tweeted in October about an old text message exchange she had with Charlie in March 2018, where she shared screenshots in which he praised Nicki's infamous verse on Kanye West's Monster. When Nicki drops I Lose My Mind, read Charlie's text, she is the best, I do my weights to that song, replied Owens. Minaj experienced a blunder during her Q&A session with Erica Kirk, where she referred to JD Vance as the assassin, a term endearment she's used before to describe the VP, a term of endearment she's used to describe the VP. The rapper paused abruptly at the realization of her assassin comment, which came more than 3 months after Turning Point founder Charlie Kirk was shot and killed by a gunman on September 10th. After a long pause, Erica Kirk attempted to assure her, saying, "Trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine. You have to laugh about it. Truly, I have been called every single thing, and you know what? God is so good. You let it roll right off your back." And this is what's so beautiful about this moment, because if the internet wants to clip it, who cares? So here is that awkward moment with Nicki Minaj. Now, this is going to be two cringeworthy female rapper clips in one stream. So this is
sorry, guys.
This is a new record for Conscious Approach, a new record. But this also, ladies and gentlemen, is very cringeworthy. So here we go.
I think about for young men. And for young men, don't be new scum. Yes, see, dear young men, you have amazing role models like our handsome, dashing president. And you have amazing role models like the assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine. Yes, we did.
It's so cringe.
What is going on?
It's so cringe. Oh my God. Like I crawl out of my skin. So let's see. I love this woman. She's an amazing woman. She has a soul and a heart for the Lord. Words are words, but I know her heart, and it doesn't even matter. And you say what you want to say because I know your heart, and I do not judge that. That's Erica Kirk talking about Nicki Minaj. So, yeah. So there's this clip that's resurfacing where he's saying that she's a bad role model for young black girls, and there's Nicki Minaj doing her thing where she's apparently super duper on the MAGA tip.
Jesus.
So, I mean, what do you think is going on here?
Honestly, I don't know. I really don't. I mean, this was literally everywhere as I'm scrolling down my timeline, both the Charlie Kirk video and the Nicki situation. So I'll address the Charlie Kirk comments that he made about Nicki Minaj and her just being a bad role model for young black women. And of course, that's stuff that we've said here in many forms and fashions, maybe not Nicki specific, but still nevertheless, yeah, she's a horrible role model for any black woman. So that's young, old, or anything in between. I think she's horrendous. And so his stance there, yeah, I agree with that. And so for her to be coming out as this MAGA stan, her and Amber Rose as well, because Amber has also come out after all of this stuff to defend Nicki and saying that Nicki's on the right path with whatever the hell she's doing. Yeah. Which again, to me, it has a bit of a, as our last topic was broaching on, a bit of a Ice Spicy and angle. But this one's more in the vein of grifting. I don't understand the flip. To be honest, it's out of left field. I haven't heard anything that Nicki says that lends me to believe she's actually like informed. I've heard her say stuff here or there, but it's grifty is my point. And so she gets on stage with this Erica Kirk woman, which that's its own conversation and a half, because who knows what's going on there. But for her to get on stage with her and just get into this cringe fest, as you intimated there, it just really lends me to believe that they're trying to start a new. They're trying to rebrand themselves. The red stuff. I think they're trying to be hipper. I think they're trying to show that they're not racist. And I think people like Nicki is supposed to soft walk us into more of this whatever, because the red stuff was catching some flack. It was becoming very highly charged. It was becoming a powder keg. At some point it was going to blow. So I think that this is Nicki's here to grift for black people, and get them to soften up to whatever the hell is going on here. So I think she is, music is what it is. That's a wrap. So I think this is just a whole new way of making money for her. She doesn't care what anybody said about her before or in the past or anything like that, because it's all about the check for her. And you best believe she got cut a nice little check to do this appearance and future ones with all of this stuff, regardless of whatever anybody said about her in the past that may have been on the red team. So yeah, I think Nicki's angle with that is what it is. And that whole assassin thing, I'm not taking the bait with that. I don't know what she's trying to imply with that. I don't know what Erica response to that is. Trust me, I've heard everything under the sun. I don't know what Nicki's reaction to oops, did I actually say that out loud type of thing. Like, that was completely weird. I don't know what they're trying to do with all of this stuff besides add to more conspiracy theories that's already swirling around all of this stuff. So I think they're playing games, and I think they're grifting. And so it doesn't matter what Charlie Kirk said about Nicki Minaj. It's all about the current grift that's going on right now. So that's pretty much my take with this stuff. I think it's just real phony stuff. But what are your thoughts, man, on all of this stuff, man? Charlie Kirk's comments on Nicki getting on stage and, with all this stuff with his widow. Like, what are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I agree with his statement from that old video as well. I think rappers have become the worst role models for black people, period.
Yeah.
So obviously within that, I agree with the idea that Nicki Minaj is a bad role model for black women, young, old, or whatever. Yeah, it doesn't really matter the age, because there's a lot of these older chicks out here who are taking inspiration from people such as her. Yep. So it isn't just the young ones. But just moreover, I think that rappers in general are at this point, as we currently sit on December 23rd, 2025 in America, the worst possible examples with which to, signify black leadership or any sort of stewardship, anyone in any position of being a role model or an example. Rappers are the worst forms of that. So I agree with that sentiment. And when it comes to Nicki Minaj, I really don't know what to make of this stuff either, because I don't know how much of these people are bought and paid for anymore. Mm-hmm. Because, it isn't as though she has a history of speaking insightfully and informed on political issues. Not that I've seen.
That's what I'm saying.
This recent turnabout from her kind of suggests to me that she kind of goes with the wind. And if she's in position to curry favor with any sort of influential figureheads in any capacity, she's going to go in that direction. Now, do I know that for a fact? No. But I am suspecting that based upon my lack of knowledge of any of her political leanings before this point. Mm-hmm. So I just don't get it. And it's the same thing with Amber Rose. It's one thing to say you're against woke democratic policies, but it's another thing to get onto a stage and call the president handsome and dashing and call the vice president an assassin, though you mean it in a positive and endearing way. These sound like talking points that were written down for you. Correct. Because otherwise, if someone were to sit you down in a chair and actually question you on hard and fast policy issues, I'm not exactly sure you'd be in the best position to address those questions. And I am not the biggest blue person in the world. I'm actually apolitical. I am a registered non-party affiliated individual, and I go with what makes sense. Mm-hmm. That being said, these days, I'm not seeing anything that makes sense.
Boy, I tell you.
But for the record, I am very much apolitical, and what resonates me is things that make sense. I don't give a damn what your party affiliation is. Mm-hmm. And I've always said before, as an aside, no one who is a reasonable individual is straight up and down on one aisle of the other on every issue. Most
Right.
people are in the middle because you think one way about something and you think another way about another thing. And the one way that you would think about this one thing aligns over here, but the way that you think about this issue aligns over here. Most reasonable people are somewhere in the middle. Nobody is just hard and fast. Oh, I'm on one side of the aisle on every single issue. Though these, this system tries to pit people into a corner of being an extremist, and that's just not the way most people are hardwired to operate in the general sense. But I look at her as the Amber Rose adjacent in terms of these are the individuals that we will trot out on the next election cycle for the Reds. And I look at somebody like Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce as the counterpoint to that. These are the individuals that the Blues are going to trot out come the next election cycle. I don't know where they stand on any of these issues. And I don't know how much they're bought and paid for. But I kind of look at her as an individual who is bought and paid for. Otherwise, I don't really know how else to really look at this situation because all of this to me is just a game of being bought and paid for.
Right.
And I think it's very awkward, strange, weird. The turnabout, the about face, because she used to be hardcore with the Blues, as is everyone else in her industry. And now she's doing all of this double talk. And yet I've not really heard her speak on any hard policy issues. So I kind of feel like she's just getting a check.
Yeah, I agree, man, because, I'm pretty sure Nicki is in favor of pro-choice. So, I don't know what her being over here. I mean, everything that Nicki does is a blue situation. Her music's blue as hell. So I don't know what this is besides a grift and her getting a check out of it. So you bring up a good point. She will be in the next cycle of election things. She's going to be a talking point. She's going to show up at these events. So you're going to hear more sound bites from Nicki. But this is again, bro. I mean, she was an industry plant in the first place. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we all saw the Nicki Minaj freestyling video and before surgery. Like we all saw it. They took her and they put her in a lab, a physical lab, and they took her into the studio or whatever, and they had people writing for her. So she came out with this android body that at the time people weren't really on BBLs like that. It was going on, but it was low key, and hers was top notch. Hers was top notch at the time. So it fooled a lot of people. People really knew no BBLs was going on like that, but she had a clean one, and she had people writing for her. So she had bars. There was songs where she was snapping, but other people were writing. So she was an industry plant. For industry plant record label, Cash Money. They did it with Wayne. They did it with Drake. They did it with her. Wayne eventually broke off from having other people writing for him, and it showed. But listen to the stuff that was going on before all the, before what's that, Carter 2 and all that stuff. I mean, that stuff was clean, man.
Yeah.
And then he started. Then once it got out that he could possibly have people running for him, then all this other weird stuff came in. Oh yeah, I remember the timeline. I was there. So Nicki Minaj is a part of that cabal, where they were engineering her, and it took. So then there was a whole bunch of people out here hollering at their Barbies and stuff. Still to this day, Barbies turn to hotties, hotties turn to that. So she is a person that is willing to do whatever for a check. And as I said, the rap game done washed up. So this getting into this political grift is where the new bag is, And so her saying all of this stuff, dashing and handsome, come on, what is that? You know what I'm saying? Who says words like that? Who puts those two words together? So I'm here with you on this, bro. I think this is just part of how the campaigns are going to be run nowadays. you know, they always would trot out celebrities, but now it's like it's free agency out there. Like any of these people assign. You know what I mean?
It's far more shameless now than it used to be.
Yeah,
like because there have always been celebrity endorsers, but
right.
You
believed it.
Yeah, and the celebrity endorsers of the past used to be people who can conscientiously speak on policy issues, at least to a relative degree. Were they political experts or political scientists necessarily? Of course not. But did they have a mind of their own, and did they have some ability to elocute things that they agreed with, believed in, so on and so forth? To a certain degree, yes.
Mhm.
Now it's more shameless than ever. And
Mhm.
these individuals being trotted out now don't have a political bone in their body. All they know is what they've been told to believe.
Yep.
And so I don't know what to believe and what not to believe and what to take seriously anymore. I just think all of them, everybody's bought and paid for. And the thing that boggles my mind more than anything else is the apparent effectiveness that this strategy continues to have.
Which is astonishing.
Yeah,
It's
it is
astonishing.
It's unbelievable that you will still have people moved by stuff like there will still be a decent percentage of people who are moved by Nicki Minaj's allegiance with Republican with the Republican Party.
She's got Barbies right now that will blew their whole life, and now think that Trump is dashing and handsome.
Yeah.
They own that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And when they were on stage saying that stuff, in the back of my mind, I was like, who's buying this? They think we're this dumb, but honestly, bro, there are people that dumb.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part, man. And last thing I'll say is today I saw a video, clearly AI. It was a black girl saying that she said, "Oh, they kicked me out of this church because they said my clothes were too revealing and I'm a distraction." And then the lady popped out of the thing and said, "You need to get away from our church." She said, "I didn't do nothing wrong." And then there was people in the comment section, both men and women. Men saying, "Oh, they can never get their act together." And women saying, "I didn't see nothing wrong with what she was wearing." But I'm like, whoa, wait, y'all can't tell this is AI? Somebody left a comment saying, clearly this is AI. And a lot of people like that too. But then there were other people in the comment section who I'm pretty sure saw that comment, but they were still commenting as if that was real.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, we're done, bro. As a mass group of people, they are done. And I think that type of skit, whatever Erica Kirk, whatever Nicki Minaj and them were doing on stage, and whatever Amber Rose is doing, or whoever next grifter that gets into the pot start to do, yeah, it's built for those people. The people that aren't going to think and believe everything that's laid out in front of them. So apparently there's more of those people in the world than critical thinkers.
Yes, clearly.
So it's sad business, man, but yeah, I never thought I'd see the day, but here we are. Nicki Minaj, misread. Crazy.
What are you gonna do, man? What are you gonna do?
Oh my goodness.
Wild stuff, man. Shouts out to people who don't believe this stuff.
Good one, bro. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Oh God, yeah. We ran the gamut on industry puppets, bro.
Yeah.
In this particular episode, there's 4 puppet stories in a row. This is literally 4 puppet stories in a row.
Unprecedented, bro.
But here is the 4th and final puppet story of the stream. This one involving 21 Savage, who 21 Savage is put out a recent album talking about what happened to the streets. And I think this article has it wrong, by the way. So I'm gonna read the article, but I think this article has it wrong because 21 Savage's album is about bringing back the streets.
Right.
So 21 Savage isn't the one saying F the streets. That's Young Thug saying F the streets. So I think this article has it wrong, but I could be wrong on that. But based on everything that I've seen from this, that's what I think is going on. And so there are artists who are aligning with Young Thug in an effort to, or rather, there are artists who are kind of, I don't know, we'll read it. All of this
Yeah.
stuff to me is kind of convoluted.
Mhm.
But this says 21 Savage inspires various hip hop artists to condemn the streets. 21 Savage just asked the hip hop world what happened to the streets on his new album, and it seems like they are all responding quite dismissively to the concept of the streets. Following Young Thug's proclamation of F the streets in response to Savage's comment on Atlanta hip hop and beyond, there are now multiple other rappers following suit. Namely, these are Pooh Shiesty, YFN Lucci, and G Herbo. Lucci and Herb took to Twitter with their messages, whereas Pooh posted his on his Instagram story. They all said F the streets as well, as caught by Kirko on Twitter, with Shiesty adding the word traumatized to his post and tagging 21. Oh wait. Let's see, where was I at? The YFN boss also tagged the Slaughter Gang CEO.
You still sharing screen?
Oh, did it go away? Okay.
Mhm.
It must have went away.
There you go.
After Young Thug's response to 21 Savage, we will see what other rappers end up forming part of this campaign of sorts. There's way too much context for this one article. Nevertheless, it seems like Atlanta hip hop is breaking away from the traditions of the streets, or at least its biggest artists are. But what do the streets even mean? That's not for us to answer, but there are a lot of developments in Atlanta hip hop that inform this debate between fans, artists, and corporate backers alike. The big one is the YSL RICO trial, over which Young Thug and Gunna continue to feud for the latter's plea deal. Thugger's own snitching allegations, leaked jail calls, and conflicting hip hop loyalties in ATL also added to that firestorm. Elsewhere, Future, Lil Baby, and other artists have found themselves somewhat in the middle, with other Atlanta conflicts like Quavo and Offset's tension in the background. 21 Savage cleared issues up with Future, and it seems like he also called Quavo and Offset to build rapport. All the while, fans wonder whether this condemnation of the streets will also rope Wanna back into the fold one day. Regardless of what's really going on, there are a lot of conflicting narratives and presumptions for fans to digest. As long as they like the music, though, we're sure they will hop on board with what's next. I'm confused, to be honest with you, with this, because 21 Savage's album is called What Happened to the Streets. And if you listen to some of those songs, he's basically trying to champion bringing the streets back.
Right.
And Young Thug is somebody who's saying the streets are gone, which I believe he feels like that because somebody snitched on him. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes against street code. But what I don't get is these other artists who are saying F the streets and coming to 21 Savage's side of the argument. But what do you make of this situation?
Yeah, the 21 part of it, it is a bit puzzling to me. I kind of picked up the same thing that you were picking up there, but I wanted to more or less, but y'all can let me know down in the comment section. That's for sure.
Let me know too. Yeah,
but I wanted to address the overall point of the concept of the streets, and now that these street rappers are now saying F the streets, and basically, it's gotten to this point where it's called the F the streets campaign. Now, again, if that was something that was already out here and somebody else said it and it wasn't a rapper, I'd be here for it. But hearing street rappers saying F the streets, it's I'm a little confused.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused. So now Pooh Shiesty, he had his legal troubles, he just got out or whatever. So I'm sure F the streets is that's how he feel right now. Yeah. But what does that mean when you guys are saying that? Are you guys saying F the street mentality, or you like how are you guys saying it? Because it sounds to me like you guys are condemning what everybody calls the streets, and we all know what the streets are. Yeah. And it sounds like you guys are condemning it. Well, at that point, the streets is what got y'all paid. It's what makes y'all hot and what's relevant. And will you stop making street anthems? Is my question at that point. You know what I'm saying? I like G Herbo as a person. I've heard some of his songs. He doesn't always do drill stuff. He doesn't always do whatever. Some of his stuff, even though it's in that vein, is still introspective. So I think he's a cool young guy. So him saying that, I can hear him saying that, but it's still a matter of, okay, you could say F the streets, bruh, but a large part of your content is street based. So a lot of these guys, it's all street based. So are you guys standing on that, or is this it just sound good for right now? And to me personally, I think this is all, it sound good right now. I don't think these guys really mean it, because then at that point you have to go in the booth and not make murder, kill, I'll sell dope music. Then what y'all gonna talk about? So I don't know how far it's gonna go, but as a campaign, as for young people to say, hey man, that street stuff is really dead, it's really irrelevant, like it's not where it's at anymore. I think that does need to be a thing that is said, but if it's coming from these guys that are going to be tiptoeing across that line, it's real grifty to me. It sounds like they're trying to play on people's emotions just so they can continue to stay relevant. So it'll be interesting to see a lot of these guys that are talking about F the streets, to see what they're going to be coming out with, because honestly, I think they're just saying a whole bunch of sound good, because as soon as they try to come up with something else, I don't think it'll take. And then here they are again, kicking down doors. So I would not be surprised if a lot of these guys end up doing a 180 and embracing the streets again. But what are your thoughts, man, on these rappers out here saying that, pretty much starting an online campaign amongst these rappers saying F the streets, and they're actually street rappers? What are your thoughts, man?
I'm confused. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So of course, over the weekend, I was listening to the Hollywood Shuffle, DJ Who Cares show on Saturday mornings on Shade 45. Shouts out to Shade 45 on Sirius XM. And I heard one of these songs off of the 21 Savage album. The name of the song is called Dog Shit. That's the name of the song.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Dog. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if you were aware of this. I didn't know this, but apparently dog shit is another way to say I got a lot of money. I don't know where that comes from, but apparently there's a new slang in hip hop. Dog shit means money. So when you say I got that dog shit, you're saying like I got that cat.
I don't care for that.
I don't know where this stuff comes from. But this album, which literally came out like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, here is 21 Savage's lyrics on this song. Rich as hell, pockets sloppy, where to drink, pull up. 9-figure N-word, women suck me till they throw up. Ask about me on the easy. They say I got it sold up. You ain't effing on the first night, bitch, grow up.
Okay.
40 cars, 50 watches, and they all plain. Leave her ass hunchback, she from Notre Dame. He an internet N-word, he's so effing lame. Savage love that gun sound, walk a flock of flame. Rick James, bitch, I was serving Mary Jane. Since I fell in love with money, I ain't been the same. You don't bust your pistol, pussy, I don't want to bang. No, my bad, I read that wrong. You don't bust your pistol, pussy, I don't want to hang. Eliante picked his nose and put it in my chain. Now, for somebody who's supposed to be like, championing F the streets, that doesn't really sound like F the streets to me. You literally said, if you don't bust your pistol, I don't want to hang. That sounds like street talk to me. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what this means. Honestly, I can try to formulate an opinion on this, but truth be told, these individuals are confused lost souls. I don't know what they are talking about, but I can guarantee you 1,000% they can say F the streets all they want. They will be putting out music in short order, which suggests the opposite of
Correct.
not being in the streets anymore. So I
Right.
don't know what they're trying to get at. I don't know the point. I don't know if F the Streets has some deeper meaning. Like, I'm confused because this dude literally put out an album 2 weeks ago with all of his murder, shoot 'em up, bang, bang stuff all over the place, on
Right.
all across the whole thing. So I don't know what he's talking about, but I'm not buying it. And this speaks to the previous topic in which we discussed rappers being the worst examples for
Mhm.
people to look up to and emulate in terms of behavior and whatnot. And this is more evidence of that. These identity crisis weirdo rappers need to go somewhere and figure out what the hell they want to do and who they want to be. But I'm not buying this stuff. And I'm definitely not buying 21 Savage. He's, to me, is one of the worst examples of this. Whenever I talk about artists who represent the perpetuation of degenerative behavior, he is near the top of the list to me.
He really is.
In terms of individuals I'm thinking about. And so I'm not buying any of this stuff. I don't know what they're trying to get at with F the Streets, but if their music, if their actual export is any indication, I am to ignore all of that stuff.
Yeah, and I'm with you now, because me personally, when I think of the streets, I just think of murder, kill, sell drugs to your aunties and uncles and them. That's pretty much street stuff. Gang activity, all of that. So they might be saying F the streets from the context. They might need to explain themselves, because it might be from the context of F the street stuff, like doing this stuff with other people that could snitch on you, like, as you mentioned and stuff.
I was literally gonna say it might. I think it had something to do with snitching specifically, and the idea that no snitching is a part of the street code, and so we are just gonna. I don't know. I kind of feel like snitching has something to do with it. As in, I'm not going to be messing with these people in the streets no more because they may snitch on me.
And they can get, and I can get a Rico and, you know what I'm saying, messing around with these street dudes. But I can still talk about, like, if they have an out with this, because I'm talking about that over there, but I'm gonna still talk about selling dope and getting it from overseas. Then it's like, nah, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that crap. So, honestly, I think it'd be interesting, and I would like to hear more from this. But on the surface, on the face of it all, it sounds like, F the streets, like F the street talk. But I really don't think that's what it means. And of course, you know what I'm saying, I didn't listen to the album yet.
Don't get me wrong, I ain't listened to it either. I've listened to a few songs that I've heard played on some shows. And so it's told, no, I didn't listen to the whole thing, but if in one single car ride, I can hear them play 4 of the album cuts, and they are all on that same pattern.
Yeah, it's 21 Savage.
It gives me a glimpse of what the rest of the album is like. I don't really think that that's a stretch.
Yeah, I don't think 21 Savage is coming out making music about uplifting the community. I think it's about ridiculousness. So and I think it was because, and I think all of this stuff, all these other rappers chiming in, whatever. But of course, this is good publicity for him. His album just came out. The numbers were looking kind of scary, I heard, in a bad way for him. So, any type of publicity would be good, but these other rappers coming out and saying these things as if, they're over and they're tired of the streets. It's like, man, your whole persona is street. So I don't see how it's F that. And then, what you going to do afterwards. So I want to see what's going on with this. So I can start. I was already holding them accountable, but maybe the streets can hold these guys accountable for all of the stuff that they're saying, because there's people out there, because if they're talking about the same streets that I'm talking about, there's people out there that sacrifice their lives out there, literally, figuratively, because they listen to these guys' music as anthems and they declare themselves the street. And for them to live their entire lives dedicating themselves to the street and have their favorite people say F the streets is basically F them, F everything they've been trying to do, which, you know, granted, it was fool's gold, everything they were trying to chase and become or whatever, but these are your people. So it'd be interesting to see how this has its ripple effect if it actually grow wings. Because I've been seeing this conversation everywhere. Boosie been talking about it, Charleston White talking about it, Blasey Spleeze, Blasey Splaz. And Boosie basically was saying from the thing that, yeah, the streets is what got us paid. So how can you turn around and say F the street? I don't know. You know, so I'm not buying it. You know, I think these guys are doing the Meek Mill situation where they're saying that, you know, they pay us, or these record labels want us to make ignorant music, and then, you know, the next week or I mean, it was a span of a week or two, and then here you are with a brand new song talking about unaliving people and selling dope. So, you know, which one is it? So I'm not buying these guys. You know, Young Thug, even though he had his Rico situation, even though he kicked off the Twitter you know, conversation by saying F the streets, he's going to say some more rigmarole. I mean, we all know this. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys parlay this, if they just sweep it under the rug, or it's just a little cute hashtag for them. Who knows, man? But I'm not buying this stuff. I believe these guys have nothing else but the streets and street talk. That's the only way they've been getting paid. So I think they're going to keep it up.
Yeah, I want, you know, let us know in the comments if we're missing something with this F the street stuff, because more than anything, I'm just confused. I don't really know what their point is. Like, are they suddenly going to stop making street music and going to start doing conscious stuff? I don't get what they mean. Like, I'm inclined to believe when they say F the streets, like I said, I'm inclined to believe what they mean is messing with the streets and street people will get you told on. Yeah, like it'll get you told on, but that doesn't mean I'm not doing street stuff. It just means I'm not going to be doing street stuff with other street people. I don't know. To me, it just seems like it's weird. I don't know. I don't get it. But all of these guys who are talking this noise are convicted felons. All of them. Lucci, Herbo, you said Boosie was like not with it. Pooh Shiesty. These guys are all convicted felons. All of them. Literally all of them. So I don't know. I'm confused more than anything. But to me, this kind of stuff highlights the need for these individuals to not be listened to. More than anything else. They just shouldn't be listened to as far as I'm concerned. But you know, it is what it is. I guess, you know, if somebody can illuminate us on on some more context for this, I would love to hear those in the comments section. Otherwise, these guys are all people who shouldn't be paid attention to, in my opinion, especially 21 Savage. Especially, I can't stand that guy. I really can't stand him.
He had two songs that I listened to. You know, relatively speaking, you know, listen to, but yeah, he's an absolute clown. Like, I don't listen to anything that he does nowadays. But when he first came out, there was a couple songs that I would listen to. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do, man? Until next time. Where's my jingle? Come on, jingle. There you go. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done for this week. Major shouts out to everybody who tuned in live on stream, and major shouts out to everybody who's going to check us out by clicking on these videos. We certainly appreciate the support as we continue to kick around this logical content. My name is JV Wins. That, of course, is Dogon SS. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok at ConApproach, ConApproach. I am on Instagram at JV Wins, JVWINS. And once again, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify for those of you who like to listen to and subscribe to audio podcasts. We very much appreciate the support as we continue to carve out this little community of ours in the corner of the internet. As I always like to say, don't be a group thinker, have a mind of your own, think for yourself. And until next time, we cannot wait to catch you on the next video.
Hey, and the name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube, DraftKings, MySpace, Meta. Hell, bruh, if there's a social media platform, Dogon_SS is also out there. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow, and all that good jazz. And we greatly appreciate you all for watching us as we drop these jewels on a weekly basis. And we couldn't do this without you all. All right. So thank you guys for liking, sharing, all right, consciously leaving comments. All right. And of course, subscribing. All right. And hitting that bell notification. All right. Because we go live every Tuesday. All right. And as I say every week, ladies and gentlemen, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player, and don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until next week, it's still Go Canes. Hey, and we'll catch y'all next week.
I didn't know whether you wanted me to bring it up or not. I was gonna bring it up, but yeah. We'll see, man. Good luck to them boys against Ohio State, man. Oh, and y'all gonna be playing in Texas. Oh, that's at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Yeah, in Jerry World.
So y'all play. That's two games straight. Y'all in Texas. Maybe that's good luck.
Hey, maybe who knows? Hey. All I say is Go Canes. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Shouts out to the Canes, man. You know, Florida State down and out, so we gonna root by proxy. By proxy, we gonna root for the Hurricanes. But yeah, y'all, let us know what you think about the commentary in any of our videos, any of our content. Check out the content library as it continues to grow. Feel free to kick on previous videos because we've been dropping jewels since 2017.
That's right.
So get familiar. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. We very much appreciate the support, the engagement, and the community fostering. We'll see you later. Peace.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah, shout out to Joseph, bro. What's that boy name? Anthony Joseph. Hell yeah, bro.